Yo, what's up, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Sports Room. I've got a little bit of a different one today. Do you know what I'm trying to say? We're not talking about Chelsea, Bayern Munich, or PSG. We're not talking about the NFL. We're talking about the Manchester Powerhouse and the newly crowned Somali British Champions League winners. I've got the captain Ahmed, and I've got the coach also Ahmed Yassin. It's an absolute pleasure. And before I start, can I just say that clip of you, your father, and your son, it was very, very poetic. It kind of epitomizes what the SBCL is about. Do you know what I'm trying to say? The progression, the growth, the family, the community. It was just so beautiful for it to end that way. Like all throughout the tournament, we saw so many fans coming onto the stage, onto the pitches, hugging their friends and stuff. But then to see yourself, your father, and your son, it just sums up the whole tournament so perfectly. And I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to share that with everyone else as well. It was such a beautiful, pure moment, and I know how that could have felt for you because I've got a father, and I know how much fun it is just having my father there with me, just watch me play football, let alone coach a team to win such a prestigious award. So I just wanted you to know that and you to hear that from me. It was the most beautiful thing that could have happened. Even more beautiful than you guys winning it in the way that you did. But yeah, just introduce yourself, guys, man. The Manchester, obviously, you guys know Busquets. Busquets is going to be a regular here on this channel. But yeah, Ahmed, introduce yourself, bro. Coach Ahmed, anyway. Introduce yourself.
Yes, Wallahi, thank you very much, Mohammed. I appreciate Wallahi the sentiment of what you just said. Again, Abs, Wallahi, it was Abs who kind of did that that moment. It was a magical moment. I knew I've held my emotions for a long time. I try and stay professional. I try and be a role model to some of these younger players and the way they should conduct themselves. But as any of you can imagine, in a final when you've achieved what you've been setting out to do all year, Alhamdulillah, Wallahi, I was so grateful. I think the first person I ran towards was Ahmed on the pitch. Where I was just happy because I know the hard work we put in, both of us behind the scenes, supporting the team, supporting the community. And again, with my father, Ab said to me, listen, the camera's up in the stands. And for some reason, I looked in the stands. I seen my father there near the cameras, and a lot of memories, a lot of things kind of started just coming into my head in terms of the journey. This journey did not start a year ago. This journey started nearly over a decade ago, and my younger brother used to play with some of these boys, played for academies like United City, Burnley, and I remember my father being there every single training session, every match that these boys played for the local team for. He used to give him lifts, and these kids, some of these, well, like a lot of our communities, a lot of our cities, one of the biggest struggles and toughest challenges is not having male role models in the household. There's a lot of single parents, single mothers that are raising boys. And my father, Alhamdulillah, I've been blessed to have my father in my life. And
Alhamdulillah.
I wouldn't be the man I am today. And I always say, if I can be half the man he is, then I've done well in life.
Wallahi, it's crazy because
So
I
I
say
just
the
wanted to,
exact same
I
thing,
just
man.
wanted to, yeah.
I say
I
the
just wanted
exact
to
same
make
thing.
sure, as much as I was gonna talk about the game and everything, I just wanted to acknowledge that I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't be in the position I am today if it wasn't for the older generation and what they've done for us and given us the opportunities that we have today. Wallahi. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, and at the same time, I was probably getting a little bit emotional. I know Abs did a great job trying to keep me in line with the questions. I apologize I couldn't give you a better interview, but it was more just coming from the heart, and appreciating not just my father, but Khalid Munye, who's been there as well from the get-go, who had his son Munye there and had his other son Abbas, who unfortunately couldn't play in the final because he broke his orbital bone in the OIR game in the quarter-final. So there's a lot of setbacks that we had to come back from. But I always say another soundbite for you guys is we have minor setbacks for major comebacks. So Alhamdulillah, I wanted to acknowledge Khalid and I know what he went through with his son in the hospital and everything before semi-finals and finals, and I just wanted to appreciate our elders as well as those of us that are doing what we are today. Alhamdulillah.
If I could just pop in a salad. That interview there, I'm not hearing no credit for at all, bro. Because I've done this interviews before with managers, with players, and you're right. It was a sense of accomplishment has been reached. It was a sense of we've done our job that we set out to do. But the pure emotion and the heart from which you spoke, the realness that was coming out of your mouth, it's got nothing to do with the person holding the mic. It's got to do with everything about you, the values you have as a man, the values that your father taught you, the values that you will teach your son, and you've taught the rest of this squad. So there's nothing I'm accepting. No credit for that at all, bro. That is
No, well,
completely
I
down to the
give you,
man
but
you are, bro. A
I'm
hundred
giving
percent,
you,
bro.
I'm giving you credit because prior to the semi-final, I know a lot of people were still not aware of what Manchester were capable of doing. And don't get me wrong, I do my homework, I do my due diligence. I watched the interviews with Somali athlete and when he was getting opinions from yourself and others. So I wanted to see who was backing us and who wasn't backing us. And I think, well, like you try to stay on the fence or you try and judge it on what you had seen already, which you said maybe you might have said Hilltop because you'd seen Hilltop and you knew about Hilltop. But once we went to battle with Cardiff, I think we got your respect because you've seen what we had to endure and overcome. And I love what Somali athletes do, and I love what Abdi's doing. But I think he kind of came across bias and that he was always going to back his boys, the Hilltop boys. So as soon as I was always going to do an interview with him, but I felt like when you asked me, you was going to get the full emotions, and that's credit to your character. And sometimes we've got to understand in the media, in any walk of life, you're there to do a job and represent everybody, and not to try not to be biased. And I think we got that from you, and we sensed that from you, and hence that's why we were very genuine with you. You know.
I appreciate that, and I think it's such a fair point you make because after that Cardiff game, I think that the Cardiff boys admitted this as well. This is, and I remember when you came into the dressing room and said the same thing is about that will, that determination, that guts. These are the intangibles of football. These are the things where when you put quality to the side, what's really going to stand you apart from anyone else? And I felt like that semi-final showed that you guys have got that in abundance. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I feel myself personally, I didn't want to really put a hat either way because I feel like it wouldn't be fair or respectful. But what you showed is that there's things that we were talking about at the end of that game, the physicality, the heart, the mentality, the desire, these so important core tenets of your team, they showed through in the final for sure.
Most definitely, wallahi. But what a lot of people don't see as well in this tournament is, and I know Ahmed will agree with me with this, is we've any away game we've never come on time. We've literally done we've got changed in the minibus. Even in that Cardiff game, we started a whole new formation that the boys. I didn't even discuss it with them beforehand. I discussed it with them on the day. So credit to like players like Ahmed and the lads themselves as well because they've I've literally like, challenged them because they're that good that they need to be challenged. They need to be stimulated, and I think we've it's not the preparation and setup has never been the best for us. I believe like Hilltop, mashallah, they've got a good structure, they've got a good setup. I hope that's something that every city can aspire towards, inshallah, in the future. But when it came to on the pitch, I knew we would excel and probably were way ahead of everybody because we know what the work we've done over the years. But wallahi, for the first ever away game against Tower, we were late. We jumped off the minibus in our kit and jumped on without a warm up and won that game. We did it Leicester 3-0. We did it against Cardiff. Again, we were doing our team talk at halftime and waking up, you know. So, well, I don't even think you've got to see the full potential of this squad and what we're capable of truly, wallahi. And I think if we get the right support, but this is why you need leaders and captains and role models. And I think there's no better person, wallahi. If this person was not Somali, this person would be one of the best in the world. I think Ahmed Ali needs to be respected, wallahi, boys. I think all as Somalis all across the globe, we need to recognize our best talents and support him. And I hope he gets the same recognition as I'm getting or the Powerhouse team is getting. Wallahi, he's helped me as much as I've helped the squad in terms of on the pitch. He's been a colossus. He's been the best player in the tournament, the best player off the tournament. Wallahi, he's a great human being, but a great footballer and a great talent that needs to be at the heights, at the top of the game, you know. So I hope he doesn't mind me making him
Ahmed
blush
knows
a
how I
bit.
feel about him. Ahmed knows how I feel about him. I'm one of Ahmed's biggest fans. When Ahmed got the recall up against Eswatini, I was jumping for joy. He knows that. Like I'm such a massive fan of Ahmed Ali. He knows this. And back to what you were saying, Coach. Busquets is one of the best at what he does. You know what I'm trying to say? Him and the rest of the pass the ball crew are incredible at what they do. They're professional. They do it at a very, very high level. And again, if they weren't Somali, they'd be on BBC and they'd be on Sky Sports. And hopefully, inshallah, they do get that credit. But one thing he was saying was, although I give Busquets his credit most of the time, this one was all you. Like, and I said it to you. The first thing I said to you was like, bro, your personality, your aura, your da'adness. I can't say it in English. Like, there's no words for da'ad in English. Like, how you are, it resonates through the camera. It resonates through the mic, and it's just pure. Like, do you know what I'm trying to say? It's pure emotion. It's pure. It's real. There's nothing. There's no facade. And it's something that we're not, like, people like us that are on social media. Me and Busquets, we're on social media, so we're used to seeing. Like, we're not used to seeing authenticity. Do you know what I'm trying to say? And every single time we saw you, it was just pure. It was I can't describe it. Like, I'm an articulate person. I speak well, but I can't describe. Like, watching you just brings a smile to people's faces. So honestly, I take all the credit. You deserve it. I wanted to move on to Ahmed real quick. Obviously, most of you guys that have been here, anyone that knows me knows. I've spoken to Ahmed before. I've spoken about Ahmed before. The captain that has led not only the Manchester Powerhouse, but I led the Somali national team to their first ever competitive victory. Someone who will always be remembered by any Somali football fan. But I wanted to ask you, you've played football and you've captained at the very, very highest level. Can you compare that to this?
It's difficult to compare in that sense. Obviously, the Somali British Champions League is a tournament that's been running now for 5 years. And I think this is the first, maybe even last year, but this is the real first season where they're actually taken off. And I think it has even led to them reconsidering whether this should be the last tournament. I think the final was like the cherry on the cake. You could see the attendance numbers. It was an amazing experience. I even wanted to just watch that game, forget playing. You know, I would have loved to be in the stands, be either a neutral or a supporter of one of the two sides, and just cheering on and enjoying the spectacle of two honest teams with different philosophies, different styles of play. So I think it gave me, like, Sweden or Toronto vibes. So, I think if we continue this with a few tweaks here and there, it could be an amazing tournament for years to come. So in terms of captaining this team, it did come with challenges. Like Ahmed said, our preparation at times was not the best. Timekeeping, you're managing different players, different characters. Some more professional than others. When you're captaining a national team, you expect a minimal, effort level, quality level, discipline, all that kind of stuff. With this, we had games with players without shin pads. It's not something that you would see at the national team. But alhamdulillah, it comes with its own challenges, but also with its own benefits. It's one community. When you celebrate, when you win such a trophy, you're all from the same city. This is something that, when we see each other, on the weekends and stuff, it's something that we can always talk back about. And alhamdulillah, it means so much to the boys, maybe more to some of our players than maybe me, myself in particular. But Just seeing them being so happy, it kind of also made me think, you know what, it is actually amazing that, first time we registered giant like Hilltop, Cardiff, which is in my opinion the second best team. No disrespect to Hilltop, I actually watched Cardiff play against Birmingham in the group stage, and I remember thinking like they're actually not a good side. How did they win last year? So when I spoke to Snorri before we actually faced each other, I did honestly, just because I'm open and straightforward, I said to him, I watched you guys play and you guys were not good. And he acknowledged that in that game they were not good at all. But he said, you'll see the real Cardiff when you get to play us. So even in our first leg that we played in Manchester, I saw glimpses of their identity, of their, the way that they play, and how strong they are in set pieces. But I think if we played for 90 plus extra time in that game, we might have been able to nick another goal, get a bit of a bigger cushion. But alhamdulillah, we got the 3-1. We had an issue with the referee, but you can watch that game back. There was not really any debatable decision that he made, not a big one in any case. But obviously, it was Somali. There was a bit of back and forth in terms of small issues here and there. But the reverse fixture, we knew we were going to be up against it. Like Ahmed said, preparation was not the best. But I think for the tournament and the way they scored the 3-1 in the last minute, I wouldn't change a thing. I would not change a thing. As much as it was my men that actually won that header for the 3-1, I would not change a thing. Just for the community, for Cardiff, for us to just climb that battle again, maybe just showing that character and extra time, helped us to win that final in the end. I honestly do believe that, because the chips were actually against us that time. When they scored that 3-1, everything was in their favor, literally everything. We were playing in Cardiff. Their 12th man was in numbers, loud, vocal. I even remember myself thinking, you know what, we need magic now. We need like a hero who's going to be Manchester's hero. And luckily, Omar Ibrahim take a bow. He hit one top bin, and he took us to the final. Fair play to him.
See, me, I've never really. I mean, there's no point. I was telling you guys before the show. I've never really doubted Manchester. Like, all the players that end up playing in academies and end up playing football at a high level happen to be from the north. So I always heard for years, if Manchester enter this tournament, like Manchester are gonna win it, and I never once doubted it. And you guys came, you saw, and you conquered. Another soundbite, I guess. But it's incredible. It's your first year participating. It's your first year participating, and I wouldn't be wrong in saying you dominated. I don't think there's been a single game where someone was the better team. Every game, I mean, maybe that short period in the second leg in Cardiff, where they had the flurry and they equalized, etc. But you were in control of every single game, and it's scary when you say things like you were never prepared and you got changed on the bus. Anyone that plays football will tell you how important a warm-up is. Just something like a warm-up, just to get relaxed and kind of just step onto the pitch, like doing a little rondo. And what I'm trying to say, it's important, because just mentally you're on the football pitch. You know what I'm trying to say. So I do hope the tournament continues. But what I wanted to ask, I guess, was if the tournament was to continue. This one's for you, Coach. If the tournament was to continue, what would we see differently from Manchester Powerhouse?
Wallahi, there's Alhamdulillah, first and foremost, Wallahi, I think the competition and the heights that it hit this season is a lot of credit to all the teams that entered. In particular, Wallahi, I want to thank the committee, because a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is organizing a team, just one team, to do a whole competition and do it with Somalis. You can understand everyone wants to be the main man, but wallahi, for me, I can see the joy and the happiness it brings to the new generation. I feel like, especially as Somalis living in the West and living in this society, we need things to kind of look forward to and to inspire us, and especially inspire the next generation. Now, I've seen the buzz that this competition has created in the city. I've seen the buzz it's created in other cities. Wallahi, I know the committee members need support, need help. I know every city needs support and help, if it's through funding, if it's through local organizations supporting. Wallahi, I feel like I said it in the interviews that on the day. I believe as Somalis, we're innovators. You know, anyone who's put in difficult and hard positions will always think of solutions to better their way. And I believe Manchester brought some extra value this season where they made they could match the passion of Cardiff. They could play good quality football like Leicester. I think every stage what we done was to kind of show, especially with the Cardiff game, it was never, I said it in the interviews, it was never about us playing football. It was just, we wanted to kind of just prove a point and show that we can we can play a different way as well. And I think it was it worked to our advantage for the final, as Ahmed said as well, because we knew that we could go down deep, very deep, to the well. And to me, it felt like that. The final felt like the semi-final. I lost my voice for nearly a week and a half, so I wasn't even talking for nearly a week. Where with this final, I lost my voice for one day. You know, Alhamdulillah, though, it's about the memories, it's about the experiences, and if this competition can be really massive, it can really be a beacon of light for many communities across the UK. Well, I believe there's so many communities that don't have the voice, and for us as the teams that are entering these football competitions, we can be a voice for the voiceless. We can make people proud to be Somali. We can make people be proud of where they're from and the communities that they come from. Because a lot of us come from deprived communities, and I believe the thing that football can do, it can break a lot of barriers. I believe, look at us today, all of us having this interview, and that's all based around football, you know. Alhamdulillah, I feel like I'm getting to know two new brothers as well as Ahmed, who and Ahmed said it in a previous interview, some of my best friends that have come from football, you know, and I always said I use football as a tool to engage with the youth. Once you can engage with them, then you can at least help them. Now, this is a problem that we faced in the Somali communities for a long time. Is there's been a bridge between the youth and the elders. Now, I believe we are that golden generation that are in between the young ones and the older ones. Now, what we do and how we do it is down to us as leaders. We are the leaders of today, and the leaders of tomorrow are these youngsters. So competitions like these are important. Wallahi, they're probably saving lives as much as helping propel people and give people statuses. So wallahi, for me, as much as I love football and I'm an activist, I'm a community leader, and there are some people that can't play football, but are passionate. So wallahi, we need competitions like this, and it will only get better and better. But we all need to help each other. If every city were to give a representative, give their expertise, be it the media side, be it from an organizational side, we can help them to become even better. And as you've seen in the competition, in the final, you had professional footballers, you know, that had their Champions League final on a Saturday, and they're there talking about our competition. So, well, we've come a long way, and it's something to be proud of. And I think that's why I was a bit emotional as well, because I know what the journey that everyone individually has gone through, but collectively as well. I think we've been suffering for a long time, and Alhamdulillah, I feel like the tide is changing. And this is why I use that quote. We're not here to take part, and I say that not just for Manchester, but us as Somalis. And I'll be honest, you know, this is not my quote. This is a quote I heard Conor McGregor with the Irish. How they got behind him when he was fighting originally, when he was loved, you know, before the Khabib
We're not
fight.
here to take part. We're here to take over.
You know, So Anigego, like I get inspired by different people, and for us, it's about teaching the new generation and giving them that skill set and that knowledge. So that's what I want to do. I think I've sacrificed myself. I could have been playing the last 10 years, but wallahi, I believed for Manchester to be where they need to be today, it required and needed individuals like myself that are probably like an Ahmed caliber player to sacrifice themselves playing. But by the grace of Allah, Allah would do the rest, you know. And I think that recipe is the recipe that we've used and the blueprint. So hopefully that's the one that people can do. It takes a real man to sacrifice themselves for a greater good. So inshallah, I hope that that's something that the other brothers in other cities can do in the SBCL community.
I thought Busquets had something to say.
It's perfectly said, and I wanted to. Yeah, I do. You know, there's something you mentioned. There's the emotional side of things is obviously so important, and the values of the pitch. On the pitch, you spoke about how the different opponents you had to show different parts of your squad. I know you guys have had to deal with injuries, had to deal with people not being available, had to deal with, like you say, the tough deal. But I've seen firsthand these teams in this tournament struggling with the preparation, struggling with the travel. These are all things that are going to come as challenges in the first couple of years. And as these teams start developing and the level of structure improves. But there's something you mentioned in terms of the different aspects and style of play you guys had to show. This is a question to both of you guys. Ahmed, obviously, for on the pitch, and Coach, what you had to do in the dressing room. What are the different ideas that you had to do? Because I feel like that semi-final, what you showed in that semi-final is where you won the tournament. And I feel like what you showed in the final was the more tactical side of things. How we do have to play against this Hilltop team. We know they're going to have the ball, these kind of things. So just speak on that tactical side of things for me a little bit.
So in terms of the tactics for Hilltop, again, we were not the pinnacle. We were not the flagship of claiming that we're the best, that we've got the most followers, we've got the professionals, we have an academy, we have a women's team. They were the Goliath, you know. They were the ones that said that they could play great football. Again, as a manager, I took it as a challenge, and I'm sure even Ahmed as well. It's good to have a challenge, and from a defensive perspective, have the ball, you know, break us, try and get through us. They had the balls. I think majority was their centre backs and their full backs. We don't mind them having the ball in those areas, but the moment that they came into our half or came into dangerous areas, you could see that they couldn't really penetrate us. They resorted to long balls. It was funny. Hilltop started playing like Cardiff, playing long balls, you know. And again, if you've not watched this tournament or you've not watched any of our matches or you've not watched Ahmed Ali, you play that ball in the air. This guy is a dominant. Wallahi, you've seen Nemanja Vidic. You've heard of the John Terrys. Wallahi, it's for me. I know as Somalis, we've always struggled.
I was
with,
just about to say that, man.
ball.
Somalis in general, we're so like we've never been good in the air. And then you got Ahmed and also his brother Mahmoud. It's like they prefer it when the ball's in the air than when it's on the floor. It's like they're just there. Every header they're winning it. It's incredible.
Yeah, wallahi, mashallah, Mahmoud, great talent. You know, fantastic. But I think that Ahmed in himself, he's in a different lane. You know, in terms of his akhlaq, manners, in terms of how he holds himself, but in terms of ability of when that ball's in the air, I've seen it in this tournament. I've seen it in previous tournaments. I've seen it in the Inner City World Cup, which we played last year. We were coming up against different countries. We were coming up against African teams. We were coming up against European teams. This man was colossalous. Wallahi, for a Somali individual to be as dominant in the air, I think one of our photographers even had to create a new logo, which was, you know, the Air Jordan. It was Air Ahmed, you know. He was just massive. Wallahi, it's amazing.
Merchandise coming up soon, boys. Yeah, make sure.
Hey, listen, I'll be the first one to buy it. You crazy?
I need that.
New crepes.
Or like for me though, it's I'm a fan of football and I'm a fan of individual. I get inspired by individuals, and what Ahmed was doing in the air was amazing, and that showed in the final with his goal. That showed in how many clearance headers he did. How many he could have had another goal probably from us, another set piece. And a lot of people don't get to see the other parts of his game where he's not just a centre back; he can actually play. I think you got to see that in the first leg against Cardiff, where he took a shot from outside the box and put it in the bottom corner. I think whenever we've needed our leader, whenever we needed our captain to step up, he stepped up in many ways, off the pitch and on the pitch. In terms of the Hilltop game, wallahi, I massive respect to them guys, massive to their management team, to their spectators, to their media team. But as I said previously, every team they thought they were good till they meet us, and we had to kind of show them that you think you can play a tiki-taka. We resorted them to starting to play long balls. They realised they're not getting through with that. And I'm not gonna. We hit them on the counter. To be fair, we could have had a few goals ourselves from the break. But the name of this tournament and the name of any tournament or competition is who wins it. You know, it's not how pretty you play football. In the group stages, we played good football in there. But in the knockout stages, it was more tactics and even the personnel, the players that we were picking at certain points. It was about understanding how we would have to play a certain match. And credit to all these boys, though. It takes quality players and great players to understand and kind of work their way through a match, which they did. I know they didn't have the best preparations, but credit to the players for their game management, and again credit to Ahmed because I know he was leading the boys on the pitch. So what I could do off the field, I would give to them, but on the field, what you could see, wallahi, it's years of hard work and great leadership from Ahmed.
I
Yeah.
wanted to.
So in terms of yeah, go on.
No. Go on, bro. Sorry.
Yeah, in terms of I want to say in terms of the preparation and I know we've talked about it quite a few times, the lack of preparation that we've had, and I've mentioned it myself, and I don't mention it in a way to say that look how good we are because we've beaten these teams without preparing properly. I say it in a way that I'm trying to show that I'm ashamed, having come from a semi or professional background, being a Somali. This is not how you conduct yourself, whether it's in a professional setting or in a community setting. If you want to go places in life, especially as a football player, discipline, timekeeping, punctuality, those kind of things, Somali people need to take a lot more serious. I know some of the teams are new. I know we are new. That's not an excuse to be late. Timekeeping or being on time is part of good manners, and that is something that we as Manchester and us as Somalis have to improve. It's also something, discipline in and of itself is maybe one of the reasons why we don't progress as much in football as well. So I wanted to just say that because I know Manchester have said, I know one of our players gave an interview after the game saying like, this is our first time or we didn't even train or, that's not, I don't think we've come across too good sometimes when it comes to like appearances in the media, our fans after the game. Football, like Ahmed mentioned earlier, is about building bridges first and foremost. We're competing, but within the competition, there's other tenets, other principles that we have to adhere to. We're Muslims. We have to respect each other. We shake hands after the game. We congratulate each other, or we console each other after a loss. So I don't think Hilltop got the respect that they deserved after the game. That is something that, as happy as I was after the game in terms of winning the competition, when I looked around, I thought to myself, you know what, this is not what I want to be associated with. I don't think Manchester gave a good account of themselves, whether it be players or fans, because it only takes one little thing to kickstart something that is difficult to contain. People can get injured, people can go to hospital. And if you look at how something like that can start, it can be very small. So we have to keep that in mind. Such a beautiful day could have turned very nasty, very, very quick. Having said that, in terms of the game itself, I jokingly said to the lads, we have to beat Cardiff today. We have to be the team that's going to be nasty. It's going to count on set pieces. So even if we get a free kick halfway line, we lump it into the box. Hilltop is not going to live with us. And alhamdulillah, it worked to a T. I think I scored one. I could have had another. We had very good set piece deliveries, and I think that's something that Somali teams underestimate and Cardiff don't, and that's why I rate them highly. Set pieces are very, very important. Sorry, yeah, set pieces are very, very important. I've scored 3 goals this competition. Mahmoud scored another header. And even if you look at the pinnacle of football, Champions League, Premier League, a lot of set pieces. And even finals, like Ahmed said, the last 4 Champions League final were all 1-0 victories, believe it or not. It's not about good football. And I had some of our players complain throughout the game, it's not going our way. We're not getting the ball down. We're not being able to play. But that should be secondary. As much as I agreed with him, we gave the ball away too many times. When we did win the ball, we weren't as composed as we usually are. And I even said at halftime, like, it's not like we're Stoke City, we're Manchester Powerhouse. So if we do get the ball, we need to show glimpses of our ability. Not unnecessarily, we don't play in the wrong areas. But if we do get a chance to find the second man, make sure that the pass is right. We gave it away too many times. Alhamdulillah, as good as Hilltop are, I think second half you could see when we pressed them a bit quicker than we did the first half, because they were on top. As soon as they equalized, I don't know exactly when they equalized, but from when they equalized to the end of the first half till we got our goal, which was against the run of play, they were on top. They found a few pockets here and there. They managed to drop, get us back deeper and deeper. But second half, we pressed a lot higher, and I think that's when we forced them to a lot more long balls and a lot of, unforced errors that they made. So overall, I think we were the deserved champions, and I think teams individually need to just go back to the drawing boards, us included, and always look to improve. How can we improve? Do we have to, start recruiting again, get rid of some players, get better players? What did we do wrong? Because, every empire collapses. Manchester might win it again. I don't know. But we're not going to win it forever. So all I want is for Somali football to progress. Whether it be Hilltop, I want them to go up, climb the pyramid. Cardiff are doing good. Birmingham, Leicester. If any of these players or communities go on to produce top talent that breaks into the Premier League, alhamdulillah, I think all 4 of us will be just as happy as the other.
Yeah, just to add in, Ahmed, as well. In terms of the Hilltop, the ending of the game, we as a club and as a city would like to apologise to Hilltop's management team, players, spectators. I believe the occasion and the inexperience of some of our spectators may have ruined what should have been a great day, and I know me and Ahmed both have got a lot of respect for any team that we come up against or any opposition. As we said at the beginning, we're one ummah, we're one community, and we want the best for Somalis in general. It doesn't matter if we come from Manchester or London. There are little kids that were there on the day. There are parents that are there on the day. As you mentioned, Abs, my son was there, my father's there. Small little things can suddenly become something major, and alhamdulillah that was not the case. But there are some lessons to be learned from it, and this is why when we're talking about how we can improve the competition, I know there's lessons for us to learn and for us to implement within our camp, and hopefully we will do that. We will be having meetings with the players, with the spectators, because that's not it. We've told the players as well as the spectators, you are a representation of your city as well as us, and we need to do better, inshallah. What should have happened is we should have been gracious in victory and humble in defeat. Alhamdulillah, nothing serious happened, but I'm sure it left a sour taste in Hilltop's day. I know at the end of it, when we was all at the restaurant, we kissed and made up, and we hugged, and I hope we can build our relationship, because I believe the more we share knowledge and share each other's networking, we can only help each other grow. And like Ahmed was saying, I hope that there are Somali professionals that make it from every city. You know, we're not each other's competition. We already have other bigger battles and barriers in front of us. And I believe if we all come together and learn from whatever mistakes we make and reflect on it, I think that's how we'll grow and improve, inshallah. And I just want to apologize to Hilltop and anyone who was there who may have been offended or disrespected by any of our spectators. We hold ourselves responsible for anyone who's representing us, because if we don't come to the final, then those spectators ain't there. So that's something that we will work on. We do have a young generation of fans that are coming through with the players. We need to educate them and hopefully nurture them to understand how to support and be passionate but be respectful at the same time. And inshallah, that will be what an area for us to work on moving forward. But alhamdulillah, it's amazing what we've been able to accomplish in a short period of time in that. But there are some areas for improvement, inshallah.
Me personally, I wasn't there on the day. Unfortunately, it's upsetting that I wasn't able to be part of such an incredible event. But I want to get back to the football really quickly. I
But
know this
sorry,
is
Mohammed. Sorry, Mohammed.
bro.
But sorry, Mohammed. But I blame the spectators on Cardiff. Yeah, they showed our youngsters bad behaviour, and I feel like they picked up some bad habits. But they, you
Bro,
know,
they were loving it. Cardiff and Manny,
Bro,
it was jab and jab. It was jab and jab. Them
that's
two. No, but you know what it's
hopefully
good to
it's
see though. What is great to see is that the management side of it, you guys obviously understand. The same thing that anytime I've spoken to Snorri, it's the same kind of thing. The responsibility that we have to take as representative, as role models, that we bear the brunt and we to bear the burden of it. And yeah, they're young, yeah, they're exuberant, but like you say, the lessons and improvement come for all of us. Like you say, it's not just with Manchester for sure. But just to see that
yeah,
from the captain and the coach just shows that they're in good hands.
yeah, and anyone who was affected by anything that was said by these youngsters, wallahi, don't take it personal. A lot of these kids will just say anything for the sake of their friends and just for a few laughs, but they're all good kids. They're not there to do no harm to anybody. They just want to support their team, but they just don't know how to. So let's, as the elders, as the olders within the camp, let's educate the youth, inshallah. Sorry, Mohammed.
no, it's fine, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've not smiled this much listening to people talk on my own show. Does that make sense? Like, it's just so beautiful. Like, the whole time I'm just like it's gonna be so funny on the edit when I'm just like, the whole time I'm just smiling, I'm just nodding my head, just listening to you guys speak, bro. It's incredible. Like, as you've said, it's a new day, it's a new age within the Somali community. Do you know what I'm trying to say? People taking responsibility. As you said, we're innovated. We've created this thing that's on platforms like Barstool and Copper 90, and it's just something that a few Somali individuals came together and did. So it's just beautiful. And then on top of that, the winners are, they've noticed some things. Even though you guys have won and you have the right to celebrate however you want to, you guys, being the class men that you are taking responsibility for things that you didn't even encourage, because they came because of the fan. They're your spectators, so you're taking responsibility, and you're being a role model for those kids. And essentially, this is what this is all about. A lot of these kids are not going to be professional footballers. It's about bringing the community together and giving them a space to express themselves and to be happy. And to keep them out of trouble, as you so nicely put it. But obviously it's getting a bit long, so I want to get back to football just for a little bit before we head off. I wanted to ask, according and in everyone's minds, Hilltop were the clear-cut favourites. Number one, because they don't know Manchester. Number two, because we see Hilltop, like what Hilltop are achieving. It's everywhere. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like they're playing at a higher step in the football pyramid. They always do well in these Somali competitions. So, did you guys feel like underdogs at any point? Did you not doubt yourselves? Because I highly doubt that you did. Like, I know you didn't doubt yourselves because of the confidence that you exude. But did at any point did the players feel, okay, this might be a difficult task and they might actually be what they're said to be?
I'll try and answer this one. First and foremost, wallahi, I expect Hilltop to have been the favourites. On paper, they've accomplished a lot and they've done a lot on paper that everyone can see visibly to what's on display. But what a lot of people don't understand and see is I've been on a journey with a lot of the youth from the Manchester squad. Majority of the squad is relatively young. I started with them back in 2010 when they were 8, 9 and 11. Alhamdulillah, I call this journey Manchester's best kept secret, you know, because these boys won 9 years in a row youth level. I mean, beating great academies, Bury, Burnley, City, United. Now, I don't think you beat those type of teams if you're not good enough, you know. But what I did was I never posted these finals or the journey itself. I kept it all in the archive because I love a rag to rich story. I love a underdog story, and I believed the way to have an impact or to break barriers is to really collect data and research on why Somalis are not making it at youth level. So I followed the journey of the youngsters. I developed them. I nurtured them. I seen the challenges. But for me, I always knew the youth were more than capable of handling this tournament and handling the favourites Hilltop. Combine that with experienced players like Ahmed Ali, Moha, who are recognised to have been playing for the Somali national team, not just for the Somali national team, but to captain the Somali national team. I believe there was a bit of disrespect for them guys, for them to not be made favourites as well, because these are some of the best Somali players in the game, not just Moha and Ahmed, but the number 9, Abdirashid Ibrahim, who was my brother-in-law. His younger brother, Abdisalan Ibrahim, was the first ever Somali player to play in the Premiership back in 2010. When the Arabs took over. This is why I say do your research. You know, so we have had a Somali break into the Premier League. You know, he at that time though he came through the academy. He was bought from Scandinavia in Norway. He came here to Manchester when he was 16 years of age. He won an FA Youth Cup with Man City. He played with the likes of Micah Richards, Stephen Ireland. He was actually touted as the next Patrick Vieira. But I think the takeover of the investment of Man City, they ended up buying bigger players, and the youth players didn't get the opportunity that they needed. So sadly, we may have had a golden generation of good Somali talent coming through. Sadly, it wasn't the case. But I've gathered data and research, and whoever wants to listen to that story, I'm all happy to reveal that story. But his brother Abdirashid was playing as a striker who's played for professional or semi-professional teams. So on paper, you know, I knew we had the youth that had the experience of winning everything at youth level. I knew we had the experience of Mahmoud, Ahmed Ali, Abdurrashid, and a few other lads that you probably might not be aware of, like Yusuf Drapes, Ishi or Ishmael, Abdi, Yusuf YT, Saj. There's a few experienced heads, and wallahi, on paper, if you guys were to watch them play football, you would have put Manchester as favourites. But I knew the truth, and I think our boys knew the truth. But Hilltop did to the outside and to the neutral. Hilltop would on paper look like the favourites. So that's how the story played out.
I wanted to ask, being on the pitch with Hilltop, like, how would you rate them? Obviously, I don't want to say are they as good as advertised, or like as in, because we watch them. So, I mean, sometimes you watch them dismantle teams, etc. Ahmed, I want to ask this question to you. Being on the pitch with them, how is it? Like, do you have to be turned on all the time? Do you have to be focused? Like, how good are Hilltop on the pitch?
Well, I've known Hilltop for a number of years, and I rate them highly. But what I would say is there are different philosophies when it comes to football, and what I mean by that is first and foremost, I think if you want to beat Hilltop, you have to be organized. You can't just be like send the team out to the pitch, enjoy. You just run around, mark this. They just mark the nearest man to you and just try your best and work hard. Like some of these managers give a pep talk. It's not football. It's not just motivational speech. You have to go with a plan. Hilltop, they try to suck players out of possession, into different areas, and that's when they can really penetrate and hurt you. And that is something that you have to be careful of if you do play against them. You need to try and stay compact. Keep the middle congested, let them play to the sides. But if you follow, because they've got a lot of movement, we've had occasions where their number 22, which is a good player, their striker actually, drops all the way to the number 6 position, tries to collect the ball. And if you as a centre back go all the way with him, you're leaving a massive gap in the heart of your defense. And if you're a team that is not instructed or doesn't know those principles of football, you can get hurt. So we had an occasion as well where he did drop into the 6th position and then he drops out of the 6th position. And then where our number 10 actually follows him. So when he dropped into the 6th position, our number 10 was the nearest to him, so he was marking him. But then when he dropped back into, or when he went up higher again to the striker position, our number 10 thought that was his man to mark at the time. So he followed him all the way, or very close to us centre backs. So I had to remind him and say, you don't need to follow the striker there. Stay high in that zone. You need to stay in your zone. Similarly for all our other midfielders, as long as you talk to each other and communicate with each other, that's how you can kind of counteract a lot of the movement that they have. So, and also when you do get the ball, sometimes the way they try to play is they use about 10 or 20 touches before they get to your box. In football, you don't need 10 or 20 touches to get to the opposition box. Sometimes one good ball can get you to travel all that distance. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other, but one is definitely more simple than the other. But I do commend them or compliment them for their philosophy. It's something that they've perfected to a T, but it's also important, I believe personally, to be able to play different philosophies. You need to be able to play one way, and when it doesn't work, especially when you play on grass, for example, and the pitches can get bubbly, you need to be able to adjust. And that's also when you play against, other teams that maybe are Adan, that have that kind of philosophy where they do lump it continuously into the box with a striker that can just win every header. You need to try and be able to defend in numbers. You need to have defenders that not can only just find that pass into pockets and into space, but they can actually do their main job, which is defending. And it's not to say that Hilltop can't defend. I thought their 2 centre backs were good, probably the best players on the day. They didn't lose that many, battles. But I think in Somali football in general, I don't want to just, talk about Hilltop. Defending is something that's not addressed enough. And it's not to say that I'm the best defender out there, but we've got too many number 10s, too many, right-footed wingers that want to play on the left to cut in and Curly Tubbins. We got too much of that. We need good quality defenders with height, physicality, headering of the ball, communication, leaders, all that kind of stuff. That's something that we're lacking.
I'll just add in a few things
Abs
on
is laughing because
Hilltop as well.
he fits into that category right there. That's why he's laughing.
Oh, the
He
right
wants to
footed, the right footed
no
No,
left
no,
no
no,
winger.
no.
no no
Not right foot winger. No, no. Hang on,
no no
please. You
no.
better
He
chill.
wants he wants the ball to feet and be all pretty and stuff like that. That's why he's got a smile on his face.
Av,
uh,
you want to come to Toronto with me, Av? I'm looking for another one of those.
Brother, we need it. Maybe we'll see. We'll talk. I'll talk to my agent.
I,
Well, I just wanted to add in terms of Hilltop. I've heard a lot of things, great things about them. Um, it was only on the day I kind of got to see how they play and also their individual players, but the style of football that they play, wallahi, mashallah, is something that I'm a fan of. It's the same style of football that we like to play. And it's one thing seeing or hearing, when you see it with your own eyes and experience it yourself, it's different. And well, they've got nothing but respect from me because I know how hard it is to work towards playing that certain style of football. In terms of what Ahmed was saying, though, myself as well, I'm a centre back. I'm a defender. I come from the art of defending, and I feel like good attacking players, good attacking players can win you matches, but great defenders can win you titles and tournaments. And I believe Hilltop have got some good young centre backs and defenders. But I believe in general in Somali football, it's defending it is something that we all need to appreciate as well. It's an art form, wallahi. When I used to play, and I'm sure for Ahmed as well, I love coming up against the best players. Especially the ones that everyone thinks that they're the best in the tournament. I love humbling those players because just because I'm playing at the back doesn't mean I'm not as technically as you, or I'm not as quick as you, or as strong as you. Yeah, the hardest thing is putting the ball in the back of the net, but you have to have a good IQ. And you see the Italians; they're passionate when they defend. It's a way of life for them. And I believe if we want for the national team to achieve great things in the future, you have to you have to be open to learn and adapt and evolve. And I know when I'm a student of the game, I've always been studying the game. I always say it to this day, I'm still learning the game. As much knowledge I have in the game, I believe the game has evolved so many times. It's evolved from 2008 with Pep Guardiola's tiki-taka, false number nines, I think fullbacks overlapping, triangles. That's all pretty and nice, but if you have a good team that knows how to defend and work with each other and communicate, you can combat against good football.
That's why Jose
So
Mourinho's still winning titles.
you
That's why
gotta get.
Jose Mourinho's still doing well because his philosophy's always been defend, defend, and defend. And I mean, that's why he wins titles and he gets the
You
finals.
know what, Mohammed? I said this. I said this to Somali athlete. I heard a few of the fans next to me when I was talking, saying, "Oh, Ahmed's the best manager," and I said it as a joke, but I've been saying it to the boys since we were young. When they were young, they call me the Black Jose Mourinho. With Guardiola's tiki taka. And I know I take inspiration from the Mourinhos, the Guardiolas, the Klopps, the Alex Fergusons, the Wengers. I believe you can always take a bit of everybody, put it all together and make it your own, and that's what innovation is about. It's learning from others, great people, and making it become even greater. So
No,
I don't just think the players and the team is good. I think the manager's great as well.
yeah, no, the reason.
Yeah, of course it did.
No, the reason I'm getting so giddy is because I played football with Busquets before, and when you're saying how passionate you are about challenges and stuff like that, like I always love a challenge. And when you're also talking about trying to show your defensive your technical ability, that's I'm always attempting the long ball, and he hates it. That's, that's why it's funny because I'm trying to show that I can play as well. So I'm trying to find the 60-yard line.
Trying one ball. Hey, listen. Trying one long ball is okay. When the midfielder is 2 yards away from you and you're still going for the long ball, that's where I have an issue. That's me personally,
Nah,
I have an issue. But
it's
if I could
exactly.
just come in there,
It's
if I come in there quickly, Salah,
yeah,
it's
go on,
alright.
go on, go on, go on.
So I was gonna say because there's something to play style that you guys was talking about, and obviously we don't want to be here all day long. We don't want to talk about salads, long passes all the time. But you speak about the play style and styles of football, and the different ways that you have to play and how you have to play against, for example, Hilltop. It's something that I remember last season. The Cardiff boys, I spent time with them. I know the quality of footballers that they have, and their style of play is similar to what you guys were talking about in the final. Show your quality when you can get the ball. When you have the ball, don't be just kicking it for no reason. Don't be losing the ball for no reason. Attempt to try and play your game. And there's always, when it comes to the game of football, there's more than one way to skin a cat. There is the beautiful style of football. There is the, okay, move, play out of position and do all this kind of stuff. Then there's the basics of football. Be hard to beat, be compact, be organised, be patient, because that's something a lot of people don't talk about. And I know Ahmed would have experienced this as well. You've been doing it and you've been playing for so long on the pitch, you're tired of seeing the same shirts running around you, but you have to stay focused. You have to continuously stay focused on the pitch. And that again comes down from the sentiment of the tactics that you apply in that game. Be strong in set pieces. And as you mentioned, the quality of players that Cardiff had, they can try and open and try and play a game like Hilltop, but will they be as successful as if they are trying to be smart and look at their weaknesses and trying to exploit their weaknesses? And I feel like you guys did that so well in the final. As you mentioned, the Hilltop guys, they do play their expansive football and their fullbacks do go really wide and it's hard to play against. I feel like you guys did a good job of making it just so tough that it was just not easy to replicate continuously. They could have control of the ball, but it wasn't control of the game. And I feel like the Hilltop guys, and I know the coach as well, Ghana and Gap, they were frustrated with not being able to find the players in the holes and be able to pick out the decisive passes continuously, because that's something that they do so often against opposition. It looks easy for them to get through and break through defences, but what you guys quite perfectly showed in that final is that you're hard to beat. And if you're hard to beat in the tournaments in the past, as shown in the Champions League, for example, that we all watched for all our lives, if you're hard to beat and you're decisive in front of goal, you've got a good chance of winning it, and you guys proved that for sure.
Yeah. Now you summed it up quite brilliantly, and patience, that's so important, and that's also probably one of the reasons why Hilltop is so successful, because when they do come against other teams, I think they might panic quite quickly when they see Hilltop dominating possession so much, and they feel like they're chasing shadows. And sometimes you shouldn't even be chasing, just compact, the center, the heart of the pitch, and just let them play around you. As long as they don't play through you, they're going to find it difficult to score. But I feel like I'm knocking Hilltop, so I don't want to be going on too much about, their, philosophy and the way they play. But
No, but
patience,
yeah, but like
it is so
it's
important.
no, but it is like I mean, we do want to stress, like, on every single manager who has either played against Hilltop or who's been associated with them or who understands it, it's always big respect to the team that has paved the way. And myself being from South London, the teams that we played against Hilltop since I was a bit younger, it's these teams that have just been, they just keep paving the way. They keep raising the bar, raising the levels. They've got players in roles and they've got people in roles. Their women's team. This is not something that we've seen from any other. This is the things that they're thinking about and the way that they are trailblazers. So it's always continued respect to those guys, and they will continue to pave the way. But the good thing about the game of football is that it's the grand equalizer. That is where, as much as you are as a club and how far you are as a club, what that matters in that 90 minutes on the pitch, you want that more. And that's what the game of football is. That's why we love the game.
Yeah, I think in football, when it's especially in a final where it's two great teams that are playing against each other, it's not. Everyone will always think it's down to a philosophy, but it comes down to small little details. And I think we had our game plan, but one thing that a lot of people don't understand unless you played the game is momentum. Certain teams will have momentum or a period of time where they will dominate, while the opposition is dominating. Can you stay focused? Can you all be communicating? I think if you can weather that storm for that period, then the momentum shifts, and then it's down upon the opposite team now to have to show that they can defend. So I think it's about understanding the game of football and not just seeing a 5 minute clip of crossovers and thinking, listen, I want to do that and try that. I
I
think
think that's what happened back end of the first half, where Hilltop was, they were definitely on top at that point. It felt like they, kept coming and they pushed us back quite deep. But Alhamdulillah, we weathered the storm, and I think they might have gotten too comfortable, because then that goal came out of nothing that we scored, and I think that really knocked their confidence. That probably won us the game.
I think for me as a manager, I look at patterns and sequences, and I think certain patterns and sequences that probably Hilltop play with that breaks other oppositions down. I could see they tried different ways. They knocked on the door, no one answered, and I think there was only one occasion on the free kick where the door was slightly opened, but we closed the door after that, and they had to learn the hard way, which is it's never easy to lose a final, because especially all the hard work you put in. But listen, that Hilltop needs to be proud of themselves and understand sometimes it's just God is the best of planners. Sometimes it's great to let others shine as well. And I think it was this season, it was for us to not just only come to the table and take our rightful place at the table, but as I said to you, Abs, we don't want to just be at the table. We want to be the table. We want to innovate. We want to show people what we have been doing. And I want to learn from Hilltop, and I want them to learn from us, and the rest of the other cities and other teams as well. I believe, wallahi, if we all come together as brothers, as one ummah, um, it will only make the game of football for the Somali communities and across the world, wallahi, it will only make it better and better, inshallah. So credit to Hilltop. They done really well to get to the final and to have the status and reputation that they do. That's credit to their players, credit to their management, credit to their spectators and their community. And they should be proud that their boys got to another final. It's not easy to get to a final. Um, it's small margins wins it. Now, alhamdulillah, we won it on this occasion. I said it in the interview. There'll be many more years that we will be battling. It may be called, the Clash of the Titans. I know a few
El
Cardiff.
Clasico.
I believe the Cardiff boys are claiming Manchester and Cardiff is the El Clasico. So
Oh, okay. That's
I'll
taken
leave.
already.
We need to run it back at the San Siro. It's gonna be like Milan and Inter.
So I feel like if we can, because of how incredible this conversation is, I feel like we can go on forever. But we're gonna end it very soon. I've just got two more things to say. First and foremost, obviously, as you guys have all mentioned, I feel like Hilltop does deserve a lot of credit, right? They're such a very good run. They're such a well-run side, from their kits, the sponsors, all the teams that they have, their coaches, their staffs, just everything is just the pinnacle. And we need more Somali teams to be run the way they're run. Does that make sense? Like the effort that they're not saying that other teams don't put the effort in, but it's just everything just is. It's run better than how a Somali team is normally run. It's more organized. Everything is pristine. It's top quality. So I feel like a lot of Somali teams should aspire to be like Hilltop in that aspect. Obviously, on the pitch, whatever happens on the pitch is different. But I'm saying off the pitch, the way Hilltop conduct themselves, the professionalism, I don't think that's an issue with them as such. I feel like just the way they're run as a club is incredible, and I feel like a lot of teams should aspire to be like that. But the question I wanted to end on is for you, Coach Ahmed. Uh, of course, you've as you said, you've been coaching for a very long time. You the community is what is the most important thing to you. But for your coaching career, do you have any other aspirations other than just the community? Like, do you see yourself coaching elsewhere
The
in
national team.
I won't even go to say that. I'm just saying, like, do you see yourself doing something else with coaching other than just community? Because I know how much the community means to you. I know if you can help a few kids, that's the most important thing to you. But for you in your coaching career, is there another step that you want to take at some point? And we'll end it on that.
Well, yeah, well, it is something that over the years I have thought about. You know, I got into coaching at the age of, I think, 22 years of age. This is when I started that journey. I think I probably had aspirations to just wanting to improve the local talent and kind of put Manchester on the map. That there's too many talented players going to waste like myself, and I just couldn't understand how great players in our city were never getting the opportunities that I felt like I had friends that I went school with that went to Man United, Man City, and I felt like I was better, but I needed to find the answers for that, and I went on that journey. I wanted to first get the love of my community and help my community first and foremost. Now, in terms of coaching, I have been approached by, the likes of the Uniteds, Man Cities, the Evertons to get into coaching. Well, I want to better our communities. I want to help the Somali community. If I was to go into football coaching at higher levels, I feel like I'm just helping other communities and other institutions. And I have a passion to want to help our people. Um, Now, is it something I want to get involved into in the future? Allahu A'lam, God is the best of planners. So whatever God wills, He will will. For me, do I have other objectives outside of football to help grow our communities? Yes. But same way I developed young talent of players in the community, the last few years, I wanted to also showcase I could also develop young coaches. Now there is a young coach called Coach Mohamed Abdullahi. He coaches at Manchester United Academy. He's been like my apprentice the last 3 years. I remember I met him when he was 19. A kid that was passionate, getting into coaching. And I wanted to not just improve players, but I wanted to improve coaches. I wanted to improve organizations. So, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds for me personally. I am someone who just wants to see the better of our people. What position I'm in, I don't know. I can't give you an answer for that now. Would I want to manage or coach the national team? Well, who wouldn't want to manage and coach the national teams? Would I bring value to any of those teams? I think I would bring more than value to those teams because the level of IQ I have for the game, I'm a student of the game. Um, I do my research. I know what to look for in players. I know how to develop. I think one of my best skills is man management, and how to get the best out of individuals. So Adugu Wallahi, that's not for me to decide. That's for other people to decide if they want me to get involved in that. That a lot of things would have to be right from both sides. I'm a person with integrity and honest, and I just want people to have the same level of respect and love for each other. So if I felt I was getting that and I was getting the support, then I would get involved at a higher level. But that would only be if Ahmed was still playing. If Ahmed's still playing, then I'll definitely.
He got you. He got you. Don't think he grabbed you. He grabbed you there, but you have to be there.
Inshallah, you have to be quick. You have to be quick there.
He said there's a time on it. There's a timer.
Listen, I'm just saying. Well, I know. In terms of the national team, it is the pinnacle of of international football. I believe, wallahi, if we want to achieve anything in the next 5, with Ahmed's current ability, wallahi, with the way he heads the ball, we need individuals like him, not just for his playing ability, but his knowledge and his experience. He needs to be around that national team. I don't know what capacity. I believe he can do a great job on the pitch for the next 5, 6 years, probably. I believe for the next 20 years, if we're still alive, inshallah, I believe he can do great things behind the scenes. We're young people that love the game. I just hope that the older generation can empower us, the same way we've empowered these youngsters to give them their opportunity. I hope that they can empower us as to the elders. We're still youngsters. Even though we're fathers, if we were given the opportunity, we have the energy, the innovations, and potentially we have another 20 years in us if Allah wills. The older generation just needs to understand that and give us an opportunity, inshallah.
So we're gonna end with that beautiful statement right there. I feel like I'm definitely gonna have you guys on another time. Busquets, I'm not talking about you. Talk about the coach Ahmed and Captain Ahmed. I feel like the Somali national team is obviously something of great importance to all of us. So maybe one day that's another conversation we can have. I mean, there's plenty to talk about. Obviously, we all share a love for this game. We all share a love for our community and our country and our people, and hoping that one day we can all contribute even a little bit to seeing us all prosper and grow. So this has been an incredible episode. This has been an incredible conversation. I don't think I'm gonna have one as emotional as intimate as this anytime soon. But without much further ado, thank you guys very, very much, and I'll see you guys soon.
Thank you for watching the Sports Room. If you enjoyed that, make sure you like, subscribe, and press the notification bell so you know the next time we upload. See you soon.